Well, hello, internet friends near and far. Welcome to another episode of Parks and Conversation. And this is a podcast where we watch an episode of Parks and Recreation and then we talk about it. And I am Jason, and I'm joined by my friend Jeremy. Say hello, Jeremy.
Hey, how's it going, Jason?
Oh man, it is going so well. It is just a great day. Great day.
Good.
And how are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm well. Any day that we can talk about Parks and Rec is a good day. Especially when it's the farmers market, because it's a Saturday and that's the traditional farmers market day, at least around here. So
yeah.
Are you a farmers market guy? Do you frequent the markets?
No, not really.
No.
I don't. I'm not against them.
You have dogs. You drink coffee. You can do both at a farmer's market. That's what everybody else seems to do.
Yeah, I don't like bringing my dogs to places with people.
You're because you're a considerate person. I see.
Well, I wouldn't call it considerate as much as I know how annoying dogs are.
Exactly. So, again, consideration.
It's my selfishness though. Like I don't want people to think, man, there's that guy who's bringing the annoying dogs. Not as much as like I care that my dogs annoy people as much as I don't want people to think badly of me.
Yeah. So
I'm positive kids. I'm positive it's not considerate. Because it's still very selfish.
I appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. When I do go to a farmer's market, I enjoy it, but I always feel like things are more expensive than at the grocery store. So that's my main motivator for not going.
It's because they've cut out the middleman. So they can raise the price, I guess. Exactly. I don't know how it works.
These are artisanal shard. So yeah. So this episode is the farmer's market episode, and it's a pretty good one, I think. 7.6 on IMDb. You got some vegetable puns. You have Andy finding a whole new career path. You have Ron listening to Willie Nelson, which again is a great Saturday activity. So it's a good thing.
Fun fact. Yeah, and this episode was directed by Adam Scott.
Oh, look at that. Look at that.
So there you go. Yeah.
Way to go, Adam Scott. I'm really proud of him. He's coming a long way. So there's three storylines here in this one. Ben and Leslie are trying to work out their relationship now that Ben is city manager and Leslie is back in working for the city hall. And, there's a conflict around the behavior of one vendor at the farmer's market, and Leslie is trying to force Ben's hand. And then Andy, he has this whole new opportunity in front of him as he's trying to get Craig to stop yelling at him. And then I think that's the primary motivator. And then Anne is pregnant and miserable and is trying to vent, but she co-ops the office's venting time with her own venting. So those are the stories that we're looking at. So so you want to start with the Anne and Chris and Ron team storyline? Start there. Go to Ben.
Sure. Yeah.
Or go to Andy, and then we'll talk about Ben and Leslie. All right. So if you're following along at home, listener, we're going with the blue color coded script as we're walking through.
Why did you color it blue?
Because they're having
what are the colors? What are the colors of the script today, Jason?
Well,
we don't talk about the weather anymore, so we might as well just talk about how you color code things.
It's gray today, FYI. The weather is gray.
So that's why you needed color in the script.
Exactly. I'm going to turn off this light that is right in my eyes. There we go. Oh, that's way better. The yellow is Ben and Leslie's story because Leslie has blonde hair. And Chris's plot line is blue because they're having a boy. And Andy's plot line is green because he's going to make some money. So
I like it.
Yeah. So that's synergy. Where we're at. Yeah. Trying to make it easier to scroll through and see these things quickly. So as Chris and Anne are home, and Anne wakes up, and Chris is full of energy and pep as usual, and asks how she's doing. And Anne talks about how she's feeling terrible. She's a whale and her feet already hurt. And Chris laughs because he's a positive guy. And he's just like, whales don't have feet. I love Chris.
It's true.
And so Anne is frustrated how her body is changing and everything is terrible. Getting out of bed, she tipped forward like a poorly made bowling pin. And Chris wants to help, which is the main problem in this episode. He really just wants to solve Anne's problems. And so he offers to rub Anne's feet, and then he remembers something that he read on raddadsolutions.net, that there's a pressure point that could induce labor. So he's like, I can't really rub your feet because of raddadsolutions.net. And I believe that's the website that Sean White and Anton Apollo Ono run, right? Because they had a book that he found at the Bloomington baby store. Yes. Rad Dads. So I think that's their website. So he can't rub her feet. And then Anne's like, it doesn't matter. I have to have those giant pills. And Chris is like, no, I'll cup them up for you. I'll pour a glass of flaxseed oil milk to wash it down. And he's making smoothies. And everything sounds awful. And we have a talking head of Anne saying how Chris is so wonderful and thoughtful and positive, and he's driving her crazy. And in the background, Chris turns around, smoothie's ready. So oblivious to Anne's frustration. So then we cut to the parks office, and Ron is hosting Tom and Jerry and Donna in his office, and they are talking about their problems. And Anne comes in. Tom's big problem is there's no face wash dispenser in the men's restroom, and so that's a problem for his work environment. Because his pores are not looking good. And Anne comes in and is like, what is this? And Tom explains that it's at Wine and Cheese Club, about a monthly gathering where they can vent. And they bring in wine and cheeses and salami. And then we have a talking head of Ron explaining, like, I have to do this once a month, but the rules do not specify whether or not I'm allowed to listen to Willie Nelson on my headphones. And so Ron is just sitting there with a glass of whiskey and had the huge over-ear headphones, just nodding occasionally as his subordinates vent, which is a great way to handle a human resources mandated venting session, I think. So, so their problems, Jerry talks about how Kyle parked in his spot again, and Jerry just wants to choke him until he passes out. While Ron is listening to the most relaxing Willie Nelson music of all time, and Jerry is like full of rage. So great contrast in the editing and the sound design in this episode, because we don't get a lot of people just listening to music and zoning out the world. So it's like a bit of an experiment in this episode, which I appreciated. And then Anne wants to get in on this. And but it's Donna's turn. And so Donna's willing to let her time go to Anne to hear what's going on. And so she says, I can't talk for long because I have to pee again, because I have to pee every 6 minutes, because I have a beach ball in my stomach punching on my bladder. And she's like, and I'm never not hungry. And Jerry offers cheese and is like, I can't have cheese, Larry, and I can't have wine either. I can't have anything good, but you know what I can have? Liquefied flaxseed. But I don't want that. You know what I want? Pork rinds. I want jelly beans. I want a huge trash bag filled with mashed potatoes. I want to be Pac-Man instead of dots. I want them to be cinnamon buns. I want to be a giant head and a mouth, and I just want to eat rows and rows of junk food pellets. And where's my trash bag of potatoes? And Tom calls time, and everybody is just kind of shocked at what happened here with Anne. So everything she said sounded awesome about food. As she was saying, I want a trash bag filled with mashed potatoes. I really did want mashed potatoes at that moment. Maybe not a trash bag filled, but
that's a lot.
Yeah. I do love mashed potatoes. It's one of those things that I don't have very often because Thanksgiving really only comes around once a year. Usually, unless I'm elected president.
It's more like Thanksgiving season, like,
yeah,
we have Thanksgiving, then we usually have Thanksgiving sometimes we'll come over to your guys' place, and you know, it's Thanksgiving season, so you get to look forward to all the mashed potatoes.
Yeah. My wife wanted to practice. We were hosting Thanksgiving one year, and so she wanted to practice Thanksgiving before making Thanksgiving.
Yes, that's
wise. You guys came over to Thanksgiving 1 or Thanksgiving beta.
Beta,
and it went
the Golden
great.
Master.
It was awesome. And then second Thanksgiving a week later. Oh my goodness. So much turkey, so much mashed potatoes, so much pie. And I had a hard time getting out of bed because I was built like a misshaped bowling pin at that point. So I understood Anne's problems. Yeah. So the next day, or later that day, Chris is home, and he asks how Anne's feeling, and he's like, "You don't want to know." And then he says, "Actually, I do. That's all I want to know." And so she starts telling him about her shooting pains from her butt to her neck. Her stomach has stretch marks. She looks like an old-fashioned globe. Her boobs are sore. She just read Brooke Shields' book on postpartum depression. Now I have pre-postpartum depression anxiety. And then Chris just jumps in to start solving it. And I'll get Tylenol for your pain, shea butter for your belly, and talks about how great she looks. Her voluptuous figure means her body is working exactly as nature intended. And he's like, "Is that better?" And Anne's like, "Yeah." Not believable. And then he was reading up on nipples, and he gets some a nipple kit from Kirsten's, the nipple people. So, yeah. So in case she gets nipple pimples, this line is crazy. It has nipple cream, nipple pads, and also a special nipple pimple ointment in case you develop any pimples on your nipples.
You gotta stop saying pimples. You gotta stop saying nipples.
It was amazing how well orchestrated, and that line is lyrical. It's amazing. Like Eminem would have a hard time coming up with a better line with interior rhymes and stuff. So,
or Johnny Karate even.
Right. And so Anne is furious, and so she's next day she grabs Jerry and Ron and Tom and Donna all together to do an emergency wine and cheese club. And she's like, "Put on your headphones, Ron. I've got a lot of complaints." It's like, "You want to talk about vomit? I do it all day long." So, so she's unloading on everybody, and Donna leaves at some point, but she comes back in with a cigar and sushi, and she's like, "Donna, what are you doing? I can't have any of that." And Donna's like, "This was funny. It's gotten out of hand. We want to vent about work, and you've taken over." And so Tom's like, "Yeah, it's sushi and cigar club now." Which I love a sushi club. I would go to that. Yeah. So, and they're trying to drive Anne out because of all of the mercury in the sushi and the smoke and stuff. And so she leaves, and then Jerry is like sitting in there, and he freaks out. He's like, monster in the window. And it's Anne pounding on the window, talking about how she has all these complaints, and all that, she can't complain about it because Chris just wants to fix everything. And so now she feels terrible, and she just peed a little bit. And then Ron, "What's happening now? Is Nurse upset?" "I don't care." Just doing his little crossword and smoking his cigar and drinking his whiskey. "I don't care." So, so then Donna and Tom and Chris or Ron go over to Chris's house to go and confront him because of all of the challenges. And so he comes out, I was like, "Hey, I'm going on my night jog. Would you want to join me?" And they're like, "No, hard pass." And they say, "Anne's complaining about everything, and she's ruining Wine and Cheese Club." Chris's response is, "I literally have 1,000 questions. Why is Ron wearing headphones? What is Wine and Cheese Club? What is Anne complaining about?" And Donna just says, "You never let her vent. And so you keep trying to solve everything." It's like, she's upset because I'm helping her. And then Ron, through his headphones, yells, "You've fallen into a classic trap, Christopher." Trying to fix a woman's problems instead of just listening to what they are. Why are you yelling? Tom, put all my records into this rectangle. And then he's like, as it continues on, he's like, the songs just play one after another. This is an excellent rectangle. And it's a little iPod with all of Ron's songs on it. This is an excellent rectangle. Whenever I learn a new thing about my phone, I save that like all the time. Like, this is an excellent rectangle. So people look at me weird at the Starbucks and stuff. So, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Yeah. So, So Ron here is full of wisdom, in all of this, and Tom and Donna actually want to help as well. And so instead of trying to fix everything, because Anne can fix things for herself, what she needs is for Chris to just say, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Man, how many times does it take to learn that lesson? So many times. Like, I don't know. You and I are both married. You and I are both married to nurses.
Yes.
There's literally nothing we can do at their work to help them.
No. Not legally.
Not legally. I'm not licensed to nurse. Almost in any way. So, it's just so, yeah. So it's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I can offer to beat people up. She's never taken me up on that offer. But that's as far as I can go. And so you really do have to just say, like, yeah, I can't help you. I'm sorry. That's really terrible. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So,
you just go throw on your eye massager and just relax.
Yeah, that thing came right out of Sky Mall, and it is definitely a Tom Haverford. My birthday was recent, and Kathy bought an eye massager. So, yeah, she bought it for us. I don't even know what to say about it. Like, thank you. My eyes have been feeling so much tension.
Just the way that they fit into my skull. You know what I really need? Something to press on them.
Yeah. Anyway, I do. It's this thing that it looks like a VR headset, listener. And I thought it was a VR headset when I opened the box because she said she got it for my birthday. And I'm like, oh, cool. And it's not that. It is a massager for your eye area. And you can't even like look at your phone while you can't read a book. You can't do anything while you're relaxing here. How unrelaxing is that?
I know you seem very stressed out that you couldn't do anything else.
Like, I'm sitting here doing this.
So stressful.
It was not what I
but it had heat too. So
it did. And music that sounded like, as my daughter said, that sounds like you're playing Legend of Zelda. Like you're like walking in the woods in Breath of the Wild. It's like, da, da, da. Is that a bird? Yeah, it was amazing. So, but it needs to have googly eyes on it. Is all I'm asking my wife to do. Just buy some big old googly eyes. And so I might have to just go to Hobby Lobby by myself, unsupervised, and buy that.
Oh man.
So, yeah. Anyway, I wasn't going to bring that up today, but yeah, it's still something I'm thinking about. All right.
Oh man.
So then Chris, after he got his lesson from the office crew, he sees Anne. She comes home and he asks, how's your day? And she said, it was okay, but my legs hurt and I have a tension headache, but in my calves. And it's a new surprise every day. And Chris says, that sucks. And Anne, like, I know. I'm so gassy. There's been a long, slow fart stream out of me since I started talking this morning. And that really sucks. Yeah, it does. Thanks. And so Chris is realizing that his anger, or not his anger, his wanting to fix everything was actually making Anne angry. So he apologizes. And Anne's like, don't apologize. You're the nicest, most thoughtful baby daddy a girl could ask for, which is probably like a Hallmark card she read somewhere. So, yeah, so they're going to be just fine. Those two goofballs. So, yeah. What are your takeaways from the Anne and Chris line here?
It was good. I mean, it was fine. They're obviously just winding down their whole situation, I guess, and yeah, I don't know. It wasn't hilarious. It was more sentimental and sweet, and supportive and all that. So maybe a good balance to some of the other goofy things like Andy's and the kind of over the top Leslie-ness in her line. So yeah, I thought the Wine and Cheese Club was funny. It was kind of like the little bit like the Finer Things Club in The Office, but with whining and then
and cheesing
and cheesing. And I thought Anne did a great job acting this whole. I think it was one of her better, parts. So just kind of being over the top. That's when she's the best. Rashida Jones did well. What'd you think?
Yeah, it was good. I love Ron's reactions to everything in this this episode. Ron was excellent, and it was because of this episode that I was like, I should listen to more Willie Nelson in my life, and I don't regret it. When I first watched this episode, I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring some Willie Nelson into the rotation in my listening, and yeah, it's good stuff. Very relaxing. Probably because that guy's high as a kite all the time.
Yeah. Just support your local farmer's market, Willie Nelson. It all works. Farm Aid. Yep.
Speaking of farmers.
Yeah.
Andy is in the office.
Okay.
Playing his guitar and singing.
Yes.
And April is sitting on his lap and he's making a song about that and how he has to poop and he should go. And just being Andy and April hanging out time. And Craig comes in and yells at him, "Oh my God, you play guitar!" So, and he asks, he tells them that his terrible nephew Sebastian is having a 6th birthday party, and he needs the clown they hired has shingles. Now, here's my question for you: do you think Sebastian was named after Lil Sebastian?
Oh man,
because remember, Craig's from
Eagleton. Yeah,
but the fall festival thing, like it drove people from all over the region to Pawnee.
Well, and Little Sebastian is a local hero. I mean, like, yes, I'm sure potentially statewide.
Yeah, his reputation is bigger than Pawnee.
Yeah, he's regionally famous.
Right. So, do we want to make this canon then that Craig's nephew Sebastian is named after Lil Sebastian?
I'm for it.
All right. Okay. It has been decreed. So Craig wants to hire Andy's band to play for an hour. And so April jumps in as his manager. And I often forget that April is the manager of Mouse Rat. But she jumps in and asks how much money, and Craig says 75. Andy's response is $75,000. And April's like, how about 300? $300,000. And they negotiate. They end up at 150. And Craig is like, that's such a relief. I love my nephew very much, but he's a horrible little tyrant. So don't ruin this date for him. And Andy is just amazed. Like $150 split 4 ways. Boom. That's $600. So he doesn't understand how splitting works, but he's very good at multiplication, which is great. Good for him. So he convenes the band and they start practicing their songs. And their one song is called Sex is Cool. And then Sex in Space. And that song in particular is 20 minutes long, but it's really good. They have a song about getting drunk. Yeah. So April hears them practice, like, I don't think you should play any of these songs for 6-year-olds. And then Burley's like, wait, you 6-year-olds? You booked as a gig at a kid's party? You said there was Dave Grohl might be there. And Andy's response is, Dave Grohl might be there. He's mysterious. He might be anywhere. Which is true. Of all the Super Bowl ads this last week,
he could be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
yeah.
I feel like the Dave Grohl Crown Royal I don't know, Crown Royal ads were probably
Crown Royal with cheese. Yeah,
those were probably the best, and not because I drink Crown Royal,
because you love Canada.
No, don't get that out of your mouth. Because I just love Dave Grohl.
Yeah,
I have shared this theory before, but Dave is the most trusting name, and I think Dave Grohl may be the greatest Dave of all Daves.
Wow. Okay. What about David? Is that different?
David sounds like like if you want to put a suit on somebody and
like
send them into an office. Yeah.
yeah.
But Dave, you can have a David who, is David by day, but Dave by night, kind of like a Bruce Wayne Batman situation. But instead of fighting crime, he's like inviting you over to play Xbox.
Yeah. He's fighting boredom.
Yes. Yeah. So that, I don't know. That's just how I feel. I think Dave Grohl is the best of Daves. So.
But he's Dave's amazing. I also appreciated the as someone who has been on hold for many, many hours throughout my life. I really appreciated that. I think it was a Bud Light commercial with some, a famous couple. I don't really remember who they were, and they had the hold music. Mm-hmm. Did you see that one?
Oh, I saw it.
Yeah, and I love that one.
That's Miles Teller and his wife.
Oh, that's right, Miles Teller.
Yeah, he's from he's probably best known from the Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
With Michael B. Jordan. They were in a Fantastic Four movie.
Right. Yeah.
It was so bad. Yeah. It was so bad. That movie was so bad. And I feel, I just am so grateful that any of the actors that were in that movie have a career right now. It was awful.
I like to think of Miles Teller as the guy from Whiplash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's also good. I also think of him as a higher scale Shia LaBeouf. like if you go to Costco and you're like, I'd like to get some Shia LaBeouf. You could probably get 12 Shia LaBeoufs for like $48, right?
Right.
At Costco. But like if you want like an artisanal Shia LaBeouf,
you want Miles Teller.
You go down to PCC.
To the farmer's market.
Yeah, to the farmer's market, and you get a Miles Teller and a J.K. Simmons. Like might get thrown in. So
right, yeah. It was like, hey, can we get Miles Teller? And your mom was like, no, we got Miles Teller at home, and it turns out it's Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf. Yeah, exactly. Am I crazy? Do those two people? No. They kind of would fit in the same spaces, right? Like they don't look dissimilar, right? They look kind of alike.
I'd watch Miles Teller in a Transformer.
Yeah, but it would be like Artie.
Right.
It would be like the inner turmoil of Negatron. And all the while, the Allspark Cube is just saying, "Not in my band." Anyway,
I would watch that.
Miles Teller in a movie, a Transformers movie that's like talking about the angst of Negatron and like the whatever the tape deck guy is, and like
is that a Soundwave?
Yeah, Soundwave. That's it. Thank you. Soundwave and his dog and bird tapes. They don't even make dog and bird name sounds. Like they're just tapes. They just.
It would be like the Joker, right? Like the Joker movie, the Todd Phillips one. Like that's what I want out of my Transformer movie.
Okay. Yeah. So in this situation, then, is Negatron also played by Miles Teller?
I don't want to go that far.
Because the monster is you all along.
The audience member is the monster. That's what it turns out. We're all transforming.
Yeah. Anyway, Andy's band Mouse Rat does not want to play along. They don't want Dave, promise of Dave Grohl maybe to come. So they leave because they're not the Wiggles. And their drummer is going back to rabbinical school. And Andy's like, umbilical school. And then as they're leaving, Andy yells out, Shaq might be there. Which again,
not to get off track,
I wouldn't put it by past Shaq. Like he shows up places too.
He does, and he buys people stuff. He's super nice. Here, have a giant pizza.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask real quick. So, what do you think is harder, to make it as a big name, like a big band, or a children's band like the Wiggles? Because like the Wiggles, I'm sure have done very well for themselves. Like children's acts can they can make it big. They can get they can go on huge tours and stuff. So it's like when he kind of besmirches later, it's like, what does that make me, like a kid? It's like, yeah, but you could make it big,
Mm-hmm.
What do you think's hard? Like, you know what I mean?
I think actually being a touring rock band is way harder. But I think being a children's performer is way more lucrative. You can make a ton more money with doing children's performing, because you can sell so much merch to so many families, and like there's so many opportunities. And so if if you really want to make money as a musician, you kind of have to just play whatever they ask you to.
Sell out to kids.
Yeah. And you know what is really great? Like think about the guy from Presidents of the United States of America, Joe Biden.
Chris Ballou. Yes.
Yeah. Chris Ballou. The president blew up huge, right? But that fizzled out. And Chris Ballou and we interviewed him on a previous podcast, which we tricked him into being a part of. But he then became a children's performer, Casper Baby Pants.
Yeah.
And was killing it. And so while his band faded out of prominence, like Casper Baby Pants, like he wanted to make kids music that he enjoyed listening to. And it totally worked. So, and he still got to be Chris Ballou. He still got to, have all of his experience as a band in Presidents of the United States of America, and then continued making music for a whole new generation of people. And when those kids grow up and they play kid music for their kids, they're going to buy Casper Baby Pants records all over again and play that for their kids. So
yeah, and then when they get older, they can listen to Presidents of the United States of America, because it's like big kid music, basically, because it's fun.
Right.
And it's just, it's genius. It's vertical integration.
Yeah.
Lemon,
Never badmouth synergy, Lemon.
Yeah. So I was just curious. I was curious what you thought about that.
Yeah.
We should do a podcast for kids.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of work.
Make money. Anyway.
I know.
Okay.
I'm not a children's performer. So Andy goes to the party and he's stressing out. And so he's like, tell me if this is an appropriate song. I changed the lyrics of Sex Hair to "You got sex bears and you got them from me, kids."
Not the problem.
Kids. The word hair wasn't the problem in sex hair. So I was like, what am I supposed to sing? I don't know. And so then Craig comes in. He's like, these kids are tearing my house apart. I need you to calm them with the power of song. And then he's like, my nephew is something of an outcast in his school, but I got Erica Swarvane to come, which is a huge get. She rules first grade. So this could make his social status for the next 100 years. So you better get out there or I am going to lose it. And April, have you not lost it? And so Andy is nervous and April's like, just get out there. You're going to do great. And afterwards you can have cake. And Andy says, I already had cake. And it pans over to the cake with the corner like ripped out by hand.
And that was an epic cake too.
Yeah, it was
like a whole
cake.
dinosaur. Yeah,
yes,
that cake. I was jealous of. I wanted that cake. That cake was awesome.
Involved for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Andy or Craig is like, "All right, focus up, you little monsters." Not you, Erica. You're an angel or third. You're here. Are you ready for the best music you've ever heard in your miserable little lives? and then he's like, "What do you call yourself, Andy?" And he's like, "Well, please welcome Johnny Karate and his magical guitar stick." And Andy starts singing, "It feels super good. It's super fun. I want to do it all the time. Pick your nose."
Oh,
and so he
that was a close one.
Pivots all the way around from all the songs about getting drunk and sex to picking your nose and stinky feet and
Nachos.
Instructions about nachos and about how everybody pees the bed sometimes. I peed the bed until I was 32. Don't play with matches. They're really not safe. Your parents keep them in a drawer with twist ties and batteries. And then he introduces the kids to Burt Macklin for the FBI, and he's a part of the Stinky Feet Patrol. And and it's so great. And we have a talking head of Andy saying, "This is so fun. I cannot believe this only cost me $150." So he still doesn't really understand what a career looks like. And so Andy is grateful, or Craig is grateful, says you're overflowing with talent. I admire you. And then a mom comes up and says, "Excuse me, Mr. Karate, my son wants you to play at his birthday party next weekend." And April jumps in and said, for short notice, it's $250. And the lady's like, "All right, I'm on board." So Andy is pretty stoked, making some money. April is really proud of him and telling him he can make a career out of this. But Andy's like, "I don't know, I'm not a children's performer." And he's like, she says, "You just had fun in there and made $150. Who cares about what you're supposed to be?" And then April's like, "Plus, you've never been sexier to me than when you were singing to those kids just now." And Andy's like, "Really? That's weird." I love that, like, they're having this very sensitive moment, and he's like, "Really? That's weird." It's great. So, yes, I think Andy's
and thus, it just launches the trajectory of his. I mean, just been waiting 6 years for this. This is one of my favorite parts of Andy's entire story. But it works because he's kind of bounced from thing to thing for so long, and he's just a big kid. He's just a giant child playing children's songs to children. Like, it's great. It worked. It's so perfect. It's so well written.
Yeah. And just one of the things that I love about the show is how much all the characters change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like Andy from sleeping on Anne, or like basically freeloading with Anne, to sleeping in a pit, to
shoe shine,
getting a job at the shoe shine stand, and becoming Leslie's assistant and head of security on her campaign, when she's terrible at. But all of his evolution, like even having, like, running a nonprofit in London, we don't really see him doing that, but like the journey that he
tries
on,
to be a cop.
Yeah,
right.
All the things. He's so, he just keeps rolling with it. And then finally to get something where it's like, hey, you want to be a rock star, and so you want to make music and make money and spend your life with April. Those are all good things. Yeah. And so he's doing great. And Ron figured out
it doesn't yeah. It just doesn't feel forced. It's not like they just, turned him into an astronaut or something. Like,
right. Or an accountant.
Oh yeah, that would have been terrible. Because
an astronaut though, like, I could believe it.
Well, I feel like he would think he's an astronaut, but he really got a job at amusement park dressing up like an astronaut.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm still fine with it.
Okay.
So let's talk about Ben and Leslie's storyline. Ben is in his office, and he's pretty impressed with this report that Miss Nope delivered, and he's gushing over it. Then Leslie gushes over how he's rocking those slacks. And Ron is there because this report needs
again
to,
with the reveal, right? Like,
yeah,
they're having this exchange, and then all of a sudden we go to a wide shot, and Ron's there, very, very frustrated and annoyed.
right, yeah, and he just wants this thing to get approved. And Ben is like, "There's nothing wrong with me acknowledging the fantastic work of your employees." So then Talking Head and Leslie saying, "Ben, I'm back at the parks department, and Ben is a city manager, but we're married now, so it's totally kosher. It's okay." And so Ben is there too, and is like, "It's awesome. We live together." And Ben says, "Oh, we work together. We were so in sync that we finish each other's sentences, and they're finishing each other's sentences, and they're just adorkable here." And she says, "We rehearsed that at home, naked in bed." What?
High five.
Yes. And then cut back to Ron in the office just saying, "Please stamp the form." And she's like, "I just want to look at it one more time. This is fantastic. Stamp the form." Okay, let's not let Ron get left out. "We love you too, Ron." And then she's like, "Stamp the form," and group hug. And it's like, "Oh, I'm down for a group hug." And they both come in to get a group hug, and Ron
Little GH
grabs Ben's wrist and the stamp and forces him to stamp the form. And they're it's like, wow, I think we made him angry. I was like, "I think he broke my wrist." Really? So, yeah. So that was a fun cold open, and then cut back to later on, they're in the farmers market, which is one of Leslie's great achievements as a city councilor. Starting it, it's good for the economy, good for families, promoting a healthy lifestyle, which Pawnee desperately needs. As it cuts to somebody holding a bunch of broccoli and saying, "Look at this tiny tree. Can you eat this?" Aw. And then it picks up a cauliflower. It says, "This one's dead."
So hold on, because I was looking through the cast, and it's the Lurpuses.
The Lurpuses are back.
Yeah, but his name is the guy's name is he's credited as Jaquiz Uppen Gretzky Lurpus. Uppen Gretzky Lurpus is all hyphenated, but his, I'm assuming, wife or whoever he's with is Gretzky Susan Pellegrino. So I think Gretzky must be the shared name.
Interesting.
Yeah, but Jaquiz Uppen Gretzky Lurpus. It's funny to me. I love the names in this show. They're ridiculous.
I think it's pronounced upon.
Oh, I thought it was Upen.
Upon Gretzky.
Upon Gretzky.
Like
Lurpus.
Stratford upon Avon. Oh my word. Yeah, so Karen Lurpus Gretzky. And then there's another character, played by Kelly Pendergraph. Gretzky Susan Pellegrino.
Yeah,
her first name
Karen
is
Lurpus
Gretzky Susan.
Yeah.
Oh my word, that's so funny. Yeah. This is a great cast list. I forget to look at the names of the characters sometimes, and because then we have two charred girls. Girl with coat, patron. So, so they're at the farmer's market, and then Leslie sees Connie Cabbage, says hi, and she's like, "Green cabbage is always a safe bet. Red cabbage is good. I mean, you can't go wrong. That's the fun thing about cabbage." And Ben's response is, "One of the fun things." And then the lights, there's like a light show happening, and there's noise, and there's music coming, and kind of like, oh. And you hear somebody, "Time to crank up this market up a notch, y'all. Chard bardities, get your chart on. Let's get recharted in here." And there's like there's a guy selling chard, but with very scantily dressed dancers and a light show. And it's like, "What's going on?" And it's like, "Oh, it's a new chard stand. I suppose that's one way to sell vegetables." And so he's got all the chards, and they even have chard shots for all the freaky vegans out there. Someone drinks
bitter.
it. Oh, it's so gross. Everything about this is gross. And Leslie's like, "Ben, do something." He's like, what can I do?" And I was like, "Just kick them out. You're city manager." And it's like, "I don't know if they're violating any of the code of conduct rules." And it's like, unless Ben's like, "The rules, you mean like, please be kind to others," as he's pointing to a hand-painted sign. "In case of fire, remain calm, and you won't bay leaf how nice all of our vendors are." And Yeah. This was like, I don't like vegetables, but I'm very good at vegetable puns. And so Ben's like, this is iffy, but I don't know what I can do. And I have to check the rules for city vendors. And then it cuts to Connie unbuttoning her shirt a little bit and saying, cabbage, come and get it. Leslie just like, put those away.
No.
So back home at the Wyatt Nope house, and Ben is excited for Harrison Ford movie night. And Leslie's like, before we do that, I want to talk more about Charred Guy. And I think it would be easy for you to revoke their license. It's like, listen, I'm not an emperor. I can just kick them out for no reason. And Leslie's like, the reason is it's vegetable porn. Porn on the cob. I'm sorry. I'm just very good at this. So, and Ben's like, I'll look at it tomorrow. Right now, we need to do a firewall because we're at home. We need to keep home life and work life separate. And Leslie's on board with this. And like, we can always talk about it tomorrow at the office. Good. Time to watch Crystal Skull.
Which, by the way, Firewall is a Harrison Ford movie.
Oh, it is. That's right.
From 2006.
Yeah.
With Paul Bettany, who plays the Vision. Bettany.
Yes.
Yeah.
He also plays Russell Crowe's imaginary friend in A Beautiful Mind.
Yeah.
So they agree to a truce for the evening. And as they're driving to work the next day, Ben says, no, it's ridiculous to think that you could survive a nuclear blast by jumping into a refrigerator. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh-huh. And Leslie's like, yeah, uh-huh. And just waiting until he parks the car. And then he's like, okay, so I found a legal precedent to shut down the vegetable smut peddlers. And Ben's like, what's happening? And she's like, firewall. We're now on City Hall property. We're at work. Let's do this. And so she has all of the reasons to kick them out. And she has 158 in the new Farmers Market rule book. And she stayed up all night to make it. She also made some Leslie toffee surprise and tells Ben that he can have that once he revokes the charred vendor's license. Good day, colleague, and leaves. Good day, colleague. So she comes to see Ben in his office, like, hey, did you get a chance to sign off on that booklet I gave you? And she's like, well, it seems like you're targeting charred bodies in particular. And she's like, how? And so it lists all the things. No visible cleavage, no strobe lights, no charred related innuendo. Those apply to all vendors, Leslie says. And she's like, anyway, it's too late. The train's left the station. And then Nolan comes in mad. You're revoking my license. And so Leslie is like, yeah, as the auspices of the city manager, et cetera, it's not important. You're in violation of many rules, so you can't be there anymore. And so she looks at Ben like, back me up without hesitation. And Ben's like, look, I need to speak with my Miss Nope for a second. And then Nolan confesses the truth that everybody knows. Charred is disgusting. You try selling it without sexy dancers. It's impossible. It's like, hey, you like lettuce? Try this. It's worse.
Did you ever see the Portlandia one where they try to it's, oh my gosh, Michael Scotted this. I started talking without an exit strategy. You know what? You keep talking. I'll look it up. But do you know what I'm talking about?
No idea.
Who's the guy with the googly eyes that is in all the Adam Sandler movies?
Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi is in it, and it's like a shadow organization that's trying to push. Was it Charred or was it Kale? I think it was Kale. And they were like, "Where did Kale come from?" And it's like there's this underground organizations that will decide what vegetables get to be popular at any given time. You have not seen it?
I've not seen it. It sounds great though.
It would make a better story if you had seen it. But anyway,
I love it. I love it. So, so Nolan is frustrated. And he's like, look, I inherited this farm, but also all the other vendors want me. I'm good for their business too. And so Ben says, we're not revoking your license for now. I'm sorry you had to come in. And Leslie just looks at him and says, Judas. And Ben's like, I don't appreciate getting ambushed. Let's go home. And Leslie, no, you want to go home so the firewall's up. And you don't have to deal with me anymore. But instead, let's meet in the basement conference room at 6 and we'll solve this once and for all. Don't forget your approval pen. And Ben's like, there's no such thing. Yes, there is. I made it for you last night. And she hands him a Sharpie with a label approval pen on it. So at 6:00, Leslie goes to the conference room and she's like, all right, let's do this. And in there is Jerry, who is like, sorry, Ben couldn't make it. So he asked me to redo this. And he starts reading a note. Dear honey. Oh, how sweet. You guys still. And then he's really sorry, but you think you just need to take a break for this work issue. Please don't grind your teeth too hard. When you hear this, I will see you in the car. I love you. And so then Leslie goes out there and he's like, what are you doing out here? And Ben's like, sorry, I'm off City Hall property. You have to stop. And then Leslie's like, nope, there's a road and bridge falling under the purview of Pawnee Department of Transportation, which is located in the fourth floor of City Hall. Firewall down. And so then Ben's like, oh, okay, well, you know what? Because, and then he runs away and runs to a bank, like private property. And then she's like, no, the concrete you're on was poured by the municipal construction crew. And then he gets in the fountain, private fountain. He's like, no, guess where the water comes from? The Pawnee Reservoir. You can't escape City Hall, fool. Let's dance. And so they're standing freezing in the water. And Ben is like, Leslie's like, this is ridiculous. Let's go. And Ben's like, no, this is our motivation. We're not leaving this fountain until we figure it out once and for all. And so Leslie's like, why don't you support me on this? I thought you agreed with me. And Ben's like, I do as a person, but as city manager, I'm not 100% sure you have a case. And he's like, you're not listening to my side. You get passionate, and I feel like I'm arguing with the sun. And Leslie's like, what? That is totally crazy. I'm super chill all of the time. Which is the least way to say I'm super chill all of the time. She needs to listen to some Willie Nelson. And so Ben's like, look, we're in a weird position. We're married. Our professional status has flipped 5 times. Now I'm your boss. This is uncharted territory for us.
Hey-o.
He's building a bridge there. He's building a bridge. And so he's like, we need to be respectful and communicate, and we'll find the right balance. And Leslie's like, you're right. I should consider your side. I love you. And you're also a very smart person. Let's get out of the fountain. And Leslie's like, I can't because my legs are numb. So they're going to die there, but they don't. So story continues. Ooh. They're back at the farmer's market. What was that?
I said that was just a roller coaster there.
Yeah, it was. They're back at the farmer's market, and Leslie apologized to Nolan, saying she's overstepped her bounds. And Nolan's like, I understand. When I got into the chard game, I knew I'd ruffle some feathers.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and so Ben's like, I'm just glad we could all come to an agreement. And then Leslie gets on a microphone and says, everybody's now 5 p.m., which means the farmer's market is closed. And then Nolan gets on the mic and says, and farmer's market after dark is open for business. And so Ben's like, well, if this is the way people want to buy produce, so be it. This town is full of lunatics, and people hand them charred shots and they drink it. And oh, this is terrible. And Leslie's like, yeah, it's like a tree barfed in my mouth. Charred shots. Oh, so gross.
So when they start selling, like, hard kombucha, and
doesn't kombucha what usually have some level of fermentation?
Well, it's like 0.5% alcohol, but you can get it. They actually make like kombucha beers and stuff. But yeah, what else would you sell at farmers market after dark?
Really risque broccoli.
Mm-hmm,
and I don't know. Honey?
Who knows? Honey?
I
like with pepper in it?
Yeah.
Hot honey?
Yeah. Spicy honey. Yeah.
Yeah. There was spicy honey. There we go.
Why not? I don't know. I don't spend a lot of time at farmers markets to think about, like, if I wanted to sex this up, what would I do?
It was celery, by the way. It was Steve Buscemi was playing a celery salesman, and his numbers were down, and so he's trying to get the numbers up. So anyway, what was your overall? I mean, you like this? I mean, you enjoyed this episode?
Yeah,
you said
it was fine. It was fine.
The show.
I think Ben and Leslie's story is the least compelling of all the stories in this episode. And so.
But it addresses the whole dynamic of their work relationship.
Exactly. It's a growth opportunity for Leslie to learn how to listen to other people, which is really the whole theme of this show is Leslie learning how to listen to other people.
Right.
So we meet her as a devoted city employee, but also she's alone and she doesn't seem to have really any friends at the opening of the show. She just has coworkers. And so she gets a lot done, but she's alone. So throughout the series, she is making more friends, listening to people, learning how to be a person. And this is one more
less
step.
of a bulldozer.
Yeah. Yes. She's not a piece of construction equipment to make things happen. So, yeah. What did you think about this episode?
Yeah, same. I mean, again, I think for me, it's about Johnny Karate, not just because it's Goofy Andy, but just because of that trajectory, that character trajectory. Everybody else was kind of the same, minus, like what you just mentioned about Leslie and Ben and their situation. So, yeah. And then Ann and Chris, we kind of know they're on their way out. So it's kind of like, okay, cool. You guys are having a kid. Go do that then. Which
go on,
you white fanging me. That's the next episode is Ann and Chris. So we get to, I believe we see them off next week.
Great.
So
I'm excited for them to go on their own journey.
Go to Michigan. Go to your homeland.
My ancestral homelands of Michigan. They're actually in the Lower Peninsula. Which,
I forget you're a dual peninsula state.
Yeah, we have two. We're a state with two parts divided by water.
It's peninsulae? At that point?
Yeah, I guess. Peninsulousness. Peninsula pod.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's that. So next week we'll talk about Chris and Ann going to Michigan. Doing
Sounds
things.
Fun. Sounds fun.
All right. Well, Jeremy, you have yourself. I will have a good week. I promise. I already have Monday off because of it's a holiday. So, I mean, can't go wrong there. Huzzah.
Enjoy your day off.
You as well.
Okay.
Goodbye.
I'll talk to you later. Bye.